Sometimes it's easy to forget that the economy doesn't have to work the way that it does right now. Prices don't have to go up while our wages fall behind, and big companies don't have to win while regular people absorb the consequences of what they do. Can you believe that 55% of Americans say that their financial situation is getting worse? It's a record. Gallup polling says that Americans' financial outlook in 2026 is also historically poor, with a record 55% now saying their financial situation is getting worse. While similar to last year's 53%, this is up from 47% in 2024 and marks the fifth consecutive year more Americans say their finances are getting worse rather than improving. The only similar multi year period when the larger share felt their financial situation was worsening was during the Great Recession. There were four concerns that people mentioned over and over. They were inflation, energy, housing, and healthcare. Not to be left out were college expenses, transportation costs, and childcare. They all have honorable mentions. But the concern that dominated everything was affordability. No worries though, because the stock market is at near all-time highs. And the biggest companies in the world are posting record profits, and billionaires are sponsoring parties where individual tickets apparently cost $100,000. It's like the last few years we've been gorging on cake. I was saying the other day that the news is like, and I'm just very much worn out. But what those Amazon sellers did really did lift my spirits. By the end of this, I'm going to share what I learned from them, and maybe it can help you too. A lot of us did everything that we were supposed to do. We went into debt to pay for our education so that we could get a job that paid us well enough so that we could pay off that student debt, as well as put away savings for our retirement and pay for the cost of just being alive, not to mention maybe a vacation every now and then. But now groceries just cost so much more, and energy costs are out of control. And you remember when people used to say that housing shouldn't cost more than 30% of your income? Is that actually possible now? I used to think that money did go as far as it used to. Now it barely gets around the block. I'm not being hyperbolic. Ray Dalio, the founder of the world's largest hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates, said that the US is in a stagflationary period. And what that means for you is that prices are going up and the economy is slowing down at the same time. And if the Fed cuts rates so that people can borrow, prices are going to get even higher, which is inflation. If the Fed raises rates to stop inflation, we get more job cuts. Things like this is why I can't put my head in the sand when the news is just so negative. It'd be nice to live in a world where you don't have to be aware of what's happening, but that's not the world we live in. No matter how much the news cycle makes me want to get a prescription for Lexapro, I have to stay aware, because one of the worst things that I can be is caught off guard. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we know that the money in the economy didn't just vanish. It's being spent. In 2026, the Magnificent Seven are planning to spend $725 billion on CapEx. This is where Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla have targeted their spend. And OpenAI missed its targets on new users and revenue, which has their company leaders concerned if they'll be able to support their spending on data centers. All while Meta plans to cut 10% of their workers starting in May, almost 8,000 people. In a memo written by their chief people officer, she said, "We're doing this as part of our continued effort to run the company more efficiently and to allow us to offset the other investments we're making." Remember what they're investing in. "We anticipate 2026 capital expenditures, including principal payments on finance leases, to be in the range of 125 to 145 billion, increase from our prior range from 115 to 135 billion. This reflects our expectations for higher component pricing this year and, to a lesser extent, additional data center costs to support future year capacity." The business isn't struggling. The jobs got cut because they wanted the money to go to something else. Microsoft is doing voluntary retirement buyouts. They want to cut nearly 9,000 US workers. They also announced $190 billion in AI spending. One aside, if you want to read these articles in full, they're all linked in the video description. These companies have told us what we are worth compared to a data center. Meanwhile, the housing market is an absolute mess. Most middle class families counted on home ownership as their biggest asset. And now the market is dropping in 28 of the 53 largest cities in the US. Mortgage rates are still near 6.5%. So it's hard to buy in the places where prices are still high. And if you own in places where the market is dropping, it's almost impossible to get the equity that you put into the house when you sell it. The housing market is supposed to help things stay a little bit more steady. But everything's a mess right now. So what made me want to make this video is what just happened with Amazon. They attempted to change the way that ad payments work. Starting immediately, they decided that they'd pull money directly from sellers' sales for their ad payments. If they didn't have enough to pay for their costs, their existing payment method on file would be used as a backup. On top of that, Amazon announced they'd start charging a 3.5% fuel surcharge. And they also said that they were going to hold sellers' earnings longer before they paid them. It went from waiting 7 days after shipping to waiting 7 days after delivery. And I feel like I've been talking about Amazon a lot lately. My Prime membership is finally over. I can't remember when I became a Prime member. It used to make so much more sense than going to the store because I was so time poor back then. And can you imagine being a small business selling on Amazon to support yourself and getting a notice telling you all of this? Maybe you used a credit. Maybe you're using your credit cards to pay for ads because you earn points, or maybe it's because it's the only way that you're able to keep your head above water. Considering Amazon on average takes about 50% cut from the seller's revenue, this all of this is so wild. Something like this could make you feel absolutely powerless. And like it can make you feel like you're all by yourself and there isn't anything that you can do about it. But that's not true. For years, Amazon sellers have complained, but this time, 700 of them came together as a part of a community called Million Dollar Sellers. And on April 14th, they stopped spending their advertising money for just 24 hours. And before this, sellers, they had complained with emails to Amazon and they made posts on Reddit, but nothing had changed. And it just so happens that this group of sellers had generated $14 billion in revenue over the past year. Nonetheless, Amazon has pushed back the payment change until August 1st. And that was based on feedback. That only took 700 people one day. Amazon knew that their sellers were upset for years, but nothing was done until the sellers actually did something. And of course, they didn't win everything. They didn't change everything. Amazon held completely firm on the other changes that they made. There is still pressure on small sellers who frankly need to create their own websites and optimize them for AI web crawlers. Look, when I moved to Spain, I opened a store with my husband in our small port town. It was hard. I shopped around to figure out the best way to sell in person and to be able to sell online. And I went with Shopify. I was able to process my purchases in our store. And then we also had a website where people could order from. And that was before OpenAI launched to the public and these shopping bots really became a thing. It was hard starting out online and taking all the pictures and writing all the descriptions, but an Amazon seller has already done all of that hard work. And now it's not so much about search engine optimization, but about generative engine optimization. I should have gone all in on social media back then, but I really wasn't in the headspace for it. We actually ended up closing the store because we had too many things going on at once and not enough foot traffic at the store to justify staying open. And because I didn't go on social media and I wasn't focused on advertising what we were selling, the online portion wasn't working out as we'd hoped. But If I were to open that shop again, it would be fully online and I would still use Shopify. And that's why I'm a Shopify affiliate because they offer various secure payment options. You can manage your inventory from a centralized dashboard. Also, checkout for customers is so smooth. And what made me use Shopify for my store was the point of sale system. But when I reopen my store, it'll be fully online. And Shopify has a fulfillment network, which makes delivery times much faster for your customers. As an affiliate, I may earn commission when you sign up for a free trial with Shopify through my link in the video description. Now, considering Amazon is suing Perplexity over Perplexity's AI shopping agent, since those agents skip the ads in favor of the best product and the best price, Amazon sellers have already been earning less, which in turn makes Amazon earn less. So instead of improving their business practices, Amazon chose to find a way to get rid of credit card processing fees, let the sellers deal with the consequences. Meanwhile, they plan to spend $200 billion dollars on AI this year. In all of this, I realize that I get really overwhelmed by the news right now because it can feel like I'm very much alone. Like whatever I'm doing to protect my family isn't adding up to very much. But this made me realize that a lot of people are like me, and we're wondering how do we keep from drowning while taking sips from this fire hose? People are losing their jobs, they're watching their rent go up, trying to figure out how to pay for childcare. And what we have to remember is that this whole economy runs on our participation. And remember that participation can be withheld. And there are a lot of us too. I think that I've mentioned it before that we grow a lot of the food that we eat at home. I've definitely mentioned about moving off the cloud and having my own NAS where I can have my digital life in my control. 55% of Americans feel like their finances are getting worse right now. That's not a small group of people. That's more than half. Also, I realize a lot of you here don't live in the US, but you have to admit that this is not unique to there. The most powerful thing that you can do is find people who are in a similar situation to you and learn from each other what you have together that you don't have if you were on your own. I think that we're a community here. I actually just had a coffee with one of you here in Spain. And for those of you who have bought me a virtual coffee or sent a super thanks, I thank you. It means so much to me. Now, I want you to be sure to tell me what you think about what's going on with the 2026 capital spend of the Big Seven. I feel like there's more conversation there that we can talk about. In the meantime, there's a video here that you can watch next. I don't know what it is, but YouTube thinks you're going to like it. Okay, bye.